Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I want to look at a question paper of June 2021, whereby we are going to start on the first question that we have, which is our question one on multiple choice questions. And remember, this is our section A, which consists of short questions, and it is a compulsory. So we start with the first question, which reads, various options are provided as possible answers to the following questions. Choose the answer and write only the letter A to D next to the question numbers. Then you are given the first part, which reads the COVID-19 pandemic restricted travel worldwide. South Africa permitted dash travel to support the recovery of the tourism industry. So you'll see that we have got international, transcontinental, interprovincial, and then intra-provincial. So the correct response that we have there, according to the COVID-19 pandemic restricted travel restrictions, we have intra-provincial as the correct response, which is our D. So we are saying D is the correct response. Remember, intra-provincial is a travel inside within the province without going out of the province. So this is intra-provincial, which was what was recommended during the time of COVID-19 pandemic and lockdown. So basically, this is what we have. And then we go to the second part of the question, which is our 1.1.2. Which reads, sleeping under mosquito nets at accommodation establishments in tropical areas is a measure to prevent contracting these diseases. We have different diseases that we are given there, but you'd see that the correct response that we have there is yellow fever and malaria. Remember, we have got mosquito nets. Obviously, mosquito nets are going to prevent mosquitoes from getting in, and also is going to prevent whatever is going to be transmitted by those mosquitoes. So we are saying malaria and yellow fever is the correct response that we have. So we have got C. Then moving on to 1.1.3, which reads the time difference when a tourist on the +1 time zone calls a friend on the -1 time zone. So basically, we are having two scenarios there, whereby we are having a minus 11, sorry, we have got -11 time zone, and then we've got the +11 time zone. So from -11 to 0, we are going to have 11 hours, and then from 0 to +11, another 11 hours. So we're going to say we have 11 plus 11. So we get your 22. So going to our other section, you see that we have got 22 hours on C. So we are saying C is the correct response. So moving on to 1.1.4, a tourist who prefers luxury travel will stay at a three-star hotel in the city center, put together an expensive and exclusive tour package, go on a package tour as part of a big group, share a room in order to save on cost. So a luxury cost, obviously, this person is up to spending a big amount of money. So basically, according to the responses that we have, if you go to your B, is saying put together an expensive and exclusive tour package, which is in line with luxury travel. So this is what we have on B as the correct response. We move on to the next part of our question, which is going to be our question 5, which is the construction worker below works for a company building a new hotel. This is one in which the multiplier effect is set in motion. So basically, when we have the multiplier effect, we are saying the total income that we have in the economy is increasing, and the total income is initially gauged from an individual income that is being earned. So in this case, we are being given a worker in the company. So obviously, the income of the worker in the company is going to increase with according to what we are given, as we are seeing that the construction worker is saying works for a company building a new hotel. So this is what we have. And then we're given a cartoon that we have there, which reads, the cartoon is saying, I am looking forward to spending part of my salary buying groceries. So by buying groceries, obviously, there is an injection that is going to take place whereby the income is going to be injected in the circular flow in the income that is circulating in the economy. So we have different options that we are given there. And then we can see that from the options that we are given, the correct response that we have there is a D, which says the worker and the supermarket earn money from the hotel being built. So they are going to earn from the hotel that is being built. So we have D as the correct response. We'll move on to the next part of our question, which is going to be our 1.1.6, a site characterized by different architectural styles providing information about the Mayan culture. We have also Petra, Chichen Itza, Berlin Wall, and Venice. But you see that the correct response that we have there is Chichen Itza. And remember, the church in Isa, it was a large pre-Columbian city built by the Maya people of the terminal classic period. So basically, the archaeological site is located in Turin. So this is the information that we have in terms of that church in Isa. And then moving on to the next question, which is 1.1.7, it reads, the Great Wall of China is found on this continent. And we know that China is in Asia. So we are saying Asia is the correct response. 1.1.8, the TOMSA 1% tourism levy is collected by these sectors. We've got different sectors that we are given there according to our options, but you'd see that A is the correct, whereby we are saying it applies to accommodation, car rental, and tour operators. So we have A as the correct response. Moving on to the next question, which is the question 9. The World Heritage Site contains outstanding ecological and biological examples of finobarous vegetation. We have got different responses again that we have, but the correct response that we have there is Cape Floral region. Cape Floral region, which is our C. We go to 1.1.10. Offering a discounted ticket to enter the Taj Mahal will be viewed as a dash that will contribute to the success of the attraction. So on number 10, the correct response that we have is the marketing strategy. It will be viewed as a marketing strategy that will contribute to the success of the attraction. So we have D as the correct response. Then on number 11, solving ethical challenges dash in the workplace. Solving ethical challenges dash in the workplace. But we know that when we are talking about ethical challenges, there are challenges that comes as a problem in the decision-making process between two possible options. So that is ethical challenge. So I would say that it promotes integrity according to the responses that we have. So we have A as the correct response. On 12, grooming refers to according to response given, obviously grooming, we are associating it with personal hygiene, which is our C. I will move on to the next part of our question, which is going to be our question 13. When an employee is unfairly dismissed, the Basic Conditions of Employment Act 1997, Act 75 of 1997, and the dash form the basis for negotiations between the employer, the union, and the employee. So we have got the contract of employment as the correct response. So we have contract of employment. We go to the question 14. FTT, Fair Trade Tourism, is the organization responsible for, and we know that this is an organization that is responsible for funding of startup companies and tourism, which is the SMMEs. So we have C. So moving on to the next part, which is 15. On 15, it says reduce, reuse, recycle are environmental conscious initiatives that support the we see that we have got a management of waste. Management of waste, obviously, this when we are reducing and then we are reusing, recycling, we are in line with management of waste. So we have C. So on the next question that we have is question 16, which reads, geocaching is a hide and seek outdoor recreational activity using a GPS global positioning system to find mystery prizes at specific locations. When participants from all over the world travel to various destinations to participate in geocaching activities, this can be classified as obviously, this is a global event, as we are seeing that we have got the issue of the event that is going internationally. So it becomes A, a global event. So we have a global event on D. And remember, the global event, we are saying it's an event of a limited duration that have a global reach being the international reach. So this is what we have on 16. Then we go to 17. One regulation imposed on restaurants during the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. We know that during the time, obviously, there was the issue of preventing the spread of the virus. So obviously, there was the element of social distancing that was taking place. So if you go to A, it reads, maintain social distancing by arranging tables 2 meters apart. So this is the correct response. The issue of washing hands also was also a key during the time. So we have A. And then number 18, foreign market share in tourism refers to the, we have got different responses given. Uh, but if we're talking about the foreign market share, remember, we are talking about the part of the foreign market that the domestic industry or domestic companies are owning. So basically, according to responses given now, we can see that the correct response that we have there is C, is saying the percentage of foreign tourists to South Africa in relation to other competing destinations. Remember, in the foreign market, we are going to compete with international competitors that are outside the local economy. So it becomes C as the correct response. Then we go to number 19. A trend in the hotel occupancy rate from July to September for the period 2018 and 2019 in the table below shows we have got hotel occupancy rate, whereby we have in July to September 2018, we're given 51.1%. We go to July to September 2019, we're given 51.0%. And then there's a difference of negative 0.1%. So the difference are meaning being given as a negative, which is showing a decrease. So we can interpret what the information given on number 19, and we are saying on 19, we have a B, which is saying a decline in the demand for hotel accommodation, since it's being indicated by this negative that we see there. So we have B as the correct response. Moving on to the next question, which is going to be the last question on the multiple choice section, which is our question 20. So on our question 20, it reads, a dissatisfied tourist goes into a travel agent's office to complain about incorrect travel arrangements. The type of customer feedback used in this case, you see that we have got a dissatisfied tourist that is going to the agent's office. So this person is going physically into the agent's office. So obviously they're going to talk face to face. So we do a face to face on D, face to face complaint. So this is the last question that we have on our multiple choice section. We have got the second part, whereby we have 1.2, which reads, give one word or term for each of the following descriptions by choosing a word or term from the list below. So we have got different words that we are given, and then we're going to match with the sentence given below. So on 1.2.1, a recommended health precaution. What is a recommended health precaution according to words that we are given? And we can go to hepatitis, C vaccination is a recommended precaution. So we have it on 1.2.1. And then we go to the next one. A group of tourists who are abstaining from do not eat meat, do not eat. A group of tourists who are abstaining from meat due to religious reasons. So we check according to the responses given, but we see that this is a special. If you look at here, we have got special needs, which is the appropriate response that we have. And then we go to 1.2.3. An excursion of or activity not included in the original travel plan. So according to responses given, we can also try to choose which one can be the appropriate one, but we've got optional extras, so it becomes an extra. We go to the next, which is places of interest visited by many tourists. Obviously, this is an attraction, as it is attracting a tourist. Then we go to places of 1.2.5, a document prepared by a travel agent that includes accommodation, meals, and transport. So we have, according to the responses given, you would see that we have got an itinerary, which is the appropriate term that we have. Then we go to the next part, which is on choose the correct word or words from for those given in brackets. Write only the word or words next to the question numbers. We have got 1.3.1 to 1.3.5. So the first 1.3.1 reads litter control or noise pollution reduces the announcements made at the arrival and departure terminals at an airport. So obviously this is a noise pollution control. And then we have the logo or environmental policy forms part of the branding of the tourism business. We have logo. Logo is part of the branding of a tourism business. So we have the next one. The next one, which reads, the next one is 1.3.3 reads, discounted travel or maternity leave can be regarded a fringe benefit for a person working at a travel agency. So the correct response that we have is discounted travel. Solving a customer's complaint is a dash skill. So I would say that this is a communication skill. Companies may change their dash to highlight their offerings when hosting a national event. Obviously, this has to do with conscientizing. It's conscientizing the clients. So obviously, we have got marketing strategy. So this is what we have on that part. So we try to see what we have on the next part, whereby we have got matching words. We have a column A and column B. You have to choose a term from column B that matches the description in column A. So we choose what matches the description that we're given in column A. The first part, 1.4.1, one way in which destinations can attract environmental conscious tourists. One way in which destinations can attract environmental conscious tourists. So we've got different options from A going down to F. So if you go to F, it reads, practice are the 6 principles of fair trade tourism. So we have F as the appropriate response. So here we are saying F is the correct response. So we have got 1.4.2, which is the positive and negative impact of tourists on local communities, culture, and heritage. So the correct response that we have there, we can try to see which one can be correct as the positive and negative impact of tourism on local communities, culture, and heritage. So we have E. We have E, which is the social pillar of the triple bottom line. So we have E as the correct response. Then we go to 1.4.3, the guidelines for sustainability in the tourism industry. Guidelines for sustainability in the tourism industry. So which one can be correct? This is the corporate social investment. Guidelines for sustainability in the tourism industry. We can see which one can be appropriate according to the responses given. So according to the guidelines for sustainability in the tourism industry, we have got A, which is the responsible tourism guidelines. So we have A as the correct response. Then we go to 1.4.4, non-financial support given to the local community by employees of tourism businesses. We have B now, which is now the corporate social investment. So we have B as the correct response. B as the correct response. Then we go to 1.4.5, which reads the promotion of indigenous flora and the control of alien invasive plants on the grounds and the indoor gardens of a hotel. So the correct response that we have according to the options given, we can try to see. So we have environmentally friendly gardening, which is our C. So we have our C, which is the correct response. So this is what we have for this section, and we can try to move on to the next section, which we have. Right, on section 1.5, it reads the images below show the different preventative measures taken to prevent jet lag. Match the images with the preventive measures given below. Write only the letter A to F next to the question numbers in the answer book. So we have got measures to prevent jet lag. We have got A, B, C up to F. So our first sentence reads, avoid taking sleeping medication on a long haul flight. So you can see that if you go to C, we have got a tablet that is my tablets that are indicated there. So obviously we have got C as the correct response. So we are seeing on the first one, we have C. Then the second one, take enough liquids during the flight to avoid dehydration. We see we have got water that is there on B. So B is the correct response. Then we go to the next one, eat healthy meals on board. We can start to see where we have an indication of a meal. If you go to A is the correct response, whereby we have got an indication of a meal that is there. Go to 1.5.4, keep active during a long haul flight to stimulate blood supply. So anywhere that we see a cartoon showing that there is an action of being active, if you go to E, we see that typical image, which is E. So E is the correct response. Moving on to 5, avoid caffeine beverages as they affect sleep patterns. We have a typical image that can lead us to caffeine beverages. We have D. So D is here. So we have D as the correct response. So this becomes the last question that we have on our section A with a total of 40 marks. So with that, we can move on to our question 2, whereby question 2 reads, study the world zone map and given information and answer the question that follows. So we see that this is our section B, and it is on map work and tour planning, and also foreign exchange. So we can start with our question 2, whereby you are given a world time zone map that you are just supposed to just browse through and try to see before you proceed with the question. Then we go to the next page where uh, we are given a scenario that we have there of safe return of South African citizens. So you do have to read through and understand what you are given in this scenario. So this is the scenario that we have. And then on the first part of our question, it reads, as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and travel restrictions, the Dube couple was stranded in Mauritius. State two ways in the extract in which the embassies and DICO communicated with South Africans stranded in Mauritius during COVID-19 pandemic. So we have to go through the information that is given to see where the embassies and DICO communicated. So going through the information that we are given, we can go down checking where we have the embassies or DICO communicating. So if you come here, on this sentence, we can just try to indicate it where it reads the South African embassies established who needed to be repatriated by sending out surveys. So by sending out surveys, this is the communication that was there. And if you go, this is on the side of the South African embassy, and you look at the DECO site, it reads DECO arrangements were communicated via WhatsApp. So this is a communication process that took place. So we have got those two. According to our question requires us to raise two ways in which the two ways in the extract in which the business embassies and DECO communicate with South Africans. So this is what we have. And this is what we have again in another section whereby we are saying on the first part, the embassy sent out surveys to establish the demand for a repatriation flight. And on the second part, DECO communicated the travel arrangements via WhatsApp to the stranded South African. So this is on the second part. Then we go to the next question, which is 2.1.2. 2.1.2 is here. It reads discuss one way in which each of the travel restrictions A to E in Mauritius impacted on the Dube's travel arrangements. So if you look at the itinerary, remember the itinerary is the planned route of origin, the plans according to the journey. So we have to come up with one way in which the itinerary impacted on the Dube's travel arrangements. So this is what we have. So if you try to go to the information that we have, you'd see that the rest of the planned itinerary and activities were cancelled when restrictions are started. So we see that we can see that in the scenario that we given that we have got the cancellation of planned activities that were there due to the restrictions that took place. So that is the first point that we have. And then the second point is saying attractions to be visited were closed and travel restrictions are meant adhering to local lockdown regulations. So they had to concentrate on the lockdown regulations, and whatever they had planned was stopped and affected. So and go to the next point, increased length of the original itinerary in terms of days in Mauritius. So they increased their day of visit in Mauritius due to the pandemic. And then lastly, continuing with the initial itinerary, we have limitations and restrictions due to COVID-19 regulations in Mauritius. And again, if they were to continue with what they had planned for, it was also going to be a deviation from what they were expecting due to COVID-19 regulations. Then we look at the second part is talking about hotel accommodation. So the accommodation had to be extended. And the couple had to look for cheaper hotel accommodation until the travel arrangements were finalized. And choice of accommodation is compromised and may change depending on limitations and resources, which is actually clear. Then in terms of prescription medication, Mr. Dube was concerned that he may not have enough prescription medication for the duration of his stay. Remember, there was a chronic problem that was there for Mr. Dube, and there was no enough prescription medication for the duration of this test. So that this becomes a challenge. And then the medication had to be sourced from local pharmacies or clinics. Difficult to get medication without a prescription, and that's another challenge. And budget, the budget is the money that they had as planning to spend. That is the budget. So Mr. Dube had to reconsider all the expenses while in Mauritius. So it means due to the budget, there was going to be a shift in terms of how they were going to spend their money versus what they expected to spend their money. So their budget did not cover the extra costs. There are some extra costs that were initiated or activated by the COVID-19 pandemic. And then they had to use money budgeted for activities they could not do for other expenses. A deviation again in terms of their expenditures. Extra funding from family members had to be deposited into their account. So that's our budget. Then we've got duty-free shopping. The duty-free shops at the Mauritian airport were closed and no shopping could take place. So that is on the duty-free. So I will move on to the next part of our question now, which is on 2.2. Let's study the flight schedule below and answer the question that follow. We have got a special repatriation flight schedule on 30 April 2020, whereby we've got the airline, which is Air Mauritius, departure, and then arrival, and then flying time. Then the first part reads, explain one reason why there is a time difference between Mauritius and South Africa. It is quite clear. If you go to the map, there you would see that we have got Mauritius. We can try to see where do we have our Mauritius. We can try to go with our map and see where we can easily locate our Mauritius. But we can clearly see that we have got South Africa on this part. South Africa is here. And we are going to look on where we have our Mauritius. So we can see from our map that we have got Mauritius, which is indicated as at this point, which is here. And then South Africa, we have it here. So on Mauritius, you can see that there is a +4. If you go to South Africa, there is a +2 here. So this indicates the different time zones. So we go to a question. Our question says, explain one reason why there's a time difference between Mauritius and South Africa. It's because they are in different time zones. So we go to our answer section. So in our answer section, the correct response that we have is that the countries are located on 2 different time zones. We can see that Mauritius is on UTC +4 time zone, and South Africa is on UTC +2 time zone. So, and also alternatively, we can say there is a time difference between countries situated on different time zones. So this is the response that we have, and then moving on to the next question that we have, which is so on the next question, we can try to see what do we have. It reads, calculate what time it was in Mauritius when the dupes arrived in South Africa at 1200 on 30 April 2020. So you'd see that it was 1200 and then in South Africa, and then we want to calculate in Mauritius. Remember, we are saying Mauritius is a plus. Mauritius is +4. While South Africa is +2, according to our map. So with that now, we can see that to find the time in Mauritius when South Africa it was 1200, of which the difference between the two is 4 minus 2, which is 2 hours. In Mauritius, we are going to say in Mauritius it will be +2. So we are going to add 12 to 1200 hours, and then we get 1400 hours. So that's exactly what we have in our answer section, whereby we are saying we have got 1200 hours, then we add our 2 hours to get our 1400 hours. So this is what we have for that part. And then we move on to the next one, which reads, calculate the departure time of the repatriation flight from Mauritius. Show all calculations. The departure time of the repatriation from Mauritius. Show all calculations. So departure time in Mauritius, we have said is 1400 hours. We can try to see where do we have in terms of that departure time, so that we can be able to work it out according to the different time zones. So what it means, we have calculated the arrival in Johannesburg, which is 1200 hours time in Johannesburg, and then 1400 hours time in Mauritius. Then we want to calculate the departure time, whereas the journey took 4 hours 30 minutes. So the 1400 hours is the arrival in Johannesburg using the time in Mauritius. So it means they departed 4 hours 30 minutes earlier. So we're going to subtract 4 hours 30 minutes from 1400 hours. So very simple. If you say your 1400 hours minus 4 hours 30 minutes, and then you see what you get. Here we are saying our 1400 hours minus 4 hours 30 minutes, which we have the calculation that is here. And we are going to see that we are going to get your 0930, which is 9:30 a.m. was the departure time. Using the time in Mauritius, departure time in Mauritius. So it's going to be 0930. That is the time using the time zone of Mauritius. So basically, that's what we have on 2.2.3. And then we move on to the next one, which is now 2.2.4. 2.2.4 reads, do you think the Dubes will suffer from jet lag when they land in South Africa? Give one reason for your answer. So jet lag, remember, now it is an extreme tiredness condition. And also other physical effects felt by a person after a long flight across different time zones. So basically, we are saying also we can describe it as a temporary sleep problem that can affect anyone who quickly travels across several time zones. So you have to travel between several time zones for you to suffer from jet lag. So we try to see, our question is saying now, do you think the Dubes will suffer from jet lag? Remember, Dube is moving from Mauritius to South Africa, and then we have got a difference only of +2, which indicates that there is no several time zones that are being crossed. So the answer there is no. The answer that we have there is going to be a no. So we can see, according to the responses that we have. Remember, this question is our question. 2.2.4. So on 2.2.4, we are saying on 2.2.4, we are saying no, they only crossed 2 time zones. So it was only 2 time zones. So not very many time zones that were crossed. So that's our response. We go to the next part, which is 2.2.5. Estelle, a friend from London, stayed in the Dubes home while they were on holiday in Mauritius. Estelle also had to return to London on a special flight. She departed at 1900 hours on 24 April 2020 from the OR Tambo International Airport to London. The flying time was 11 hours. The United Kingdom practices DST during this period. Calculate the date and time when Esther arrived in London. Show all calculations. So this is what we are going to do. So we're going to try to locate where we have our London and where we have our South Africa. So this person is departing South Africa, going to London. So we see from there. So if you check our South Africa, we've already indicated it here. And then our London, we have got United Kingdom, London, we have it here, which is at 0. Here, see that it's 0. So the difference that we have between London and South Africa is +2. Because South Africa is +2 and London is 0. So if you say 2 minus 0, you get your 2. So it's +2. But then if we go to the question now, the question says the United Kingdom practiced DST during this period. So during the period, the London practiced DST. Whenever there's DST, we are going to say plus 1. We're going to say plus 1. So it's the 0 that is for United Kingdom plus 1, you get your plus 1. So it means now the new position that we have is a +1 against a +2. So the 1900 hours that we have, that Estelle departed South Africa, we are going to subtract a -1, and then you get your 1800 hours. Then when you get your 1800 hours, now you add your 11 hours to see what will be the time in London now. So if you add your 11 hours, you see what you get. So according to what we have, we can just try to see. So we are saying we are going to say 1900 hours, the time in South Africa, minus 1 hour, so that we get the time in at the time of London equivalence on the departure from South Africa. Then you get 1800 hours. And then you add your 11 hours. That is going to be the time for the journey. You are going to get your answer is 500 hours, which is going to be your 5 a.m. It will be on the following day. That is on 25 April 2020. So this is the what we have on 2.2.5, and then we go to the next one, which is going to be your 2.3.1. Passengers were transferred directly from the aircraft into minibuses. The minibuses took them to the passport control point and then to baggage collection point. These are not the normal operating procedures at any airport. Remember, there was issue of the COVID-19. So obviously, these people were being tried to be isolated. That's why it was not the normal operating procedure. So give one reason why it was necessary to transport the passengers in this way. So in that way now we can see that um, the reason why it was normal to transport these on this way is because of contact with other people. They were reducing the contact with other people so that the South African passengers did not come into contact with any other people at the airport, and also time constraints. Remember, the question only requires one reason. We can also engage the issue of time constraints, social distancing, and also you can also talk about avoiding contamination. So those are what we have on that part. And then we move on to the last part, which is 2.3.2. Explain 3 ways in which the repatriation process ensured the health and safety of the South African passengers. So where was the health and safety ensured? So we can talk about the health and safety where it was ensured. We've got contact with other people was reduced. We're limited at the airports to avoid the risk of spreading the COVID-19. We've also the issue of quarantine. The passengers were placed in isolation for the required period after entering South Africa to ensure they are not COVID-19 positive. And control for tracking and tracing. Passengers were handled as a group in one flight and transported together within and from the airport and accommodated together in a hotel in Pretoria to make tracking easier, tracking and tracing easier. So this is what we have in terms of the last part that we have on question 2. And obviously we need to move on and try to see on the next question that we have.